Welcome to another episode of Beyond Loss, Loving Life with Karen Chaston. Did you like my new beginning? How cool is that? I'll play it again for you shortly when a few more people come on board. So hello, welcome, reach out, let me know where you're from. And today we're going to be talking about a little subject that I just love to talk about. I love to bring awareness to it. But before I start talking about that, I am just going to replay my new start. And I'd love... So let me know what you think of my new start and where we're at. So, hi, Kerry. Great to see you here again. You seem to be one of my greatest people to come along each week, and I am grateful to you for that, and thank you. So today what we're going to be talking about is a thing that a lot of us tend to do when loss comes to visit, and it is called what I call the Groundhog Day Days. So we're going to deep dive into it. Just let me get up my little slideshow. No, that's not it. Let me get up my little slideshow. That's it. And it's called the Groundhog Day Days. And what it is, there's two versions of it, which I'll go into shortly. Hi, Eva. Nice to see you. And thanks, Kerry. So the Groundhog Day Days is this thing that we all do when loss comes to visit. And it's a survival pattern, I guess is the best way for us to do. So what happens is when we don't know what to do, our old hindbrain seems to take over and puts us into survival, because our first derivative of our life is for us to survive. And obviously our second derivative is for us to thrive. But a lot of us get stuck in survival and we never actually get into thriving. So I want to talk to you, hi Nick, and I'm going to talk to you today about the Groundhog Day Days, because when we're stuck in the Groundhog Day Days, it's really, really hard for us to not only move beyond the loss that we're currently suffering from, but it's really hard for us to go into our thriving. And let's face it, we're all here to thrive. We all want to thrive. We all want to live a life which is, full of meaning and is memorable and is magical in some ways. So that's what I'm going to deep dive into today. So why do we do this? And I know that we've never, ever been taught how to move beyond loss. And that's what I honestly believe is my mission in life, is for me to assist people to move beyond loss, because there are so many loss events that can affect all of our lives. So isn't it ideal for us all to actually know how to move beyond loss? So let me just move on to the next slide. As I said, there's over 40 different loss events that can affect our lives. And here is a list of them, and I'll go full screen on this so that you can just see how many loss events that can affect all of our lives. And when you realize this, you begin to go, why haven't we been taught how to move beyond loss? How much easier would life be if we all knew how to move beyond loss? And that's what we're going to talk about today. But we're going to actually talk about just a sec, let me get everything moving. As I said, the Groundhog Day Days. Am I going forward? Yes, I am. So why do we go into the Groundhog Day Days? So let's have a look at this. So actually, I'll go full screen on this and then we'll come back to this. So what happens when loss comes to visit? Okay. Our unconscious mind takes over. And our unconscious mind goes into what I call this loss loop. Okay, the unconscious mind loss loop is what I actually call it. And the reason that we go into this unconscious loss loop is every relationship has two people in it. Okay, so when we lose this other relationship, be it a person or your job or a place or whatever it is, when we have lost this thing that is causing us to grieve and suffer, or person, we go into this unconscious mind loss loop. And when we're in this unconscious mind loss loop, we are going through the whole relationship. Now, the relationship could be a relationship that we've had all our life, like with our parents, or it could be a relationship we've only had for a couple of years. But we're so into this relationship and we want it to continue on forever that when it comes, we go through our whole scenario every single minute. Now, consciously, we don't remember every single minute of the relationship, but unconsciously we do. So we go through every single second of our relationship and we start to look at things. Oh, I wish I had, or why didn't I? If only we should have. Why did they? Why didn't I? Or why did they say this? Why didn't I say this? All of these things go through our mind and we do it unconsciously. And because we do it unconsciously, we have feelings come up as our unconscious mind is going through this loop. We have feelings come up for us to look into and heal from this relationship. And feelings are emotions, energy in motion. And they're designed to actually assist us to look at the feeling, heal it, and then the emotion goes on, energy, emotion. So it comes to us as actually a friend to say, hey, look, there's this little part of this relationship that may require some healing. How about you deep dive into it? And then we'll heal it. You'll learn from it. You'll receive the gift from it. And then you won't need to do it again in another relationship because you've learned and grown from it. And then the emotion will go off. And then the loss loop continues on and another feeling will come up. Hey, there's this other event for you to look at. How about you deep dive into this and see where you're at? And then you can heal it and move on. But because we don't understand this unconscious loss loop that our unconscious mind loss loop goes through, we have these feelings that come to visit and they're painful. And there's no other word for it. They're painful. We don't want to have to go through these feelings, even though when we do, we end up in this amazing place. But because of this continually thing going through us, we're like, oh my God, I really don't want to have to experience this. So what we end up doing is we go into what I call the Groundhog Day Days because we're really in avoidance, okay? There's another word for it. We go into avoidance because we don't want to have these feelings come up and for us to experience it. So type in any comments as I go along if there's anything further that you would like me to explain to you so that it's really, really interesting. I know, because when you understand this, it's so much easier for you to go and move beyond loss and create your better everyday life. And that's why I'm here, to assist people to move beyond any kind of the 40 different kinds of losses to be able to create their better everyday life. And isn't that what we're all here to do, is to create our better everyday life, for us to thrive. And that's why I love sharing this knowledge with everyone. So please type in some comments and I'll continue on as I go, and I'll come back to the comments. So the Groundhog Day Days, there's two versions of what it is. And the first version is that you freeze, right? You're in survival, but you freeze. You're like a deer in the headlights. You literally wake up each day thinking, okay, right, I'm going to get my life back to normal today. And then before you know it, it's 5 p.m. You're still sitting on the couch in your pajamas, and you sort of like have no idea where the past, 8 to 10 hours have gone. You literally are like, where did the day go? Like, what happened? And you're in this daze, and you can stay in this daze for a long time. And when you're in that sort of just every day sort of just seems like seconds, it just goes by so quickly. You don't know what you're thinking. You don't know what you're doing. You don't even know what you're saying. And you have all of these people with really great intentions, all giving you conflicting advice on the way for you to move forward. And because it's impossible for you to make a choice on which pathway to go through, you're literally frozen because you don't know what to do. You don't know how to get back to your old life. And obviously in reality, life is never going to be the same again. It's going to be different because that relationship has ended. That loss event has occurred in your life. And you're not going to be the same again. And it doesn't mean it's a good thing, or it doesn't really mean it's a bad thing. It's just an acknowledgement that life will be different moving forward. But it's for you to choose what life you have. And I'm not saying it's going to be better or it's going to be worse. It's your choice what you make your life after this. And only you can do it for you. It's really important for everyone to understand that only you can choose, which way forward. Now, Marlene is saying, I'm coming up to 5 years without my son. Matt was 24 years old in a truck accident. Marlene, my heart goes out to you. My condolences. In July, it'll be 10 years since my beautiful son, Dan, passed away. And so I sort of know what you're going through. Obviously, I don't understand your feelings. We all have different feelings. And, it's really important what I'm sharing with you, Marlene. And please, I'd love for you to reach out to you. I'd love to have a conversation if there is any way that I can assist with you. But thank you for being here. And thank you. Matt is with you. I hope you know that. Matt's probably with Dan. They're probably both up there, surfing. Dan was 27. So if he was 5 years older than him 5 years ago, so, there's probably about 10 years between Matt and Dan. Dan was born in 84. So my heart does go out for you because I sort of understand what you may be going through. And that's really important. We all just sort of understand what people are going through. We don't know what people are going through. And a lot of the time we end up suffering in silence. And thank you, Kerry, for saying that I've assisted you to come through your Groundhog Day days. So that's the first version of the days, right? Is that you're literally frozen. Thank you, Marlene. And the second version is the version that I sort of did. And I call this version your running version, which is the complete opposite to obviously being frozen. And it's like you're running from a saber-toothed tiger, okay, which is what we all did originally. We would, get the adrenaline going and we would run. And that's what I did when Dan passed. I went back to work the day after his funeral. I worked harder. I worked longer. I ate more. I drank even more. And I just continued on and on and on like that for like 15 months. And the only thing that I believe got me out of that was I had to get another loss event. And I like to say, Dan's with me, obviously, he's on the other side. And I give him credit for everything that I do. I even say that he is the co-founder of the Chaston Center, where we assist people to have a more meaningful life, to understand that love and loss is a complete part of life, and you will be on an infinite journey of traveling from love to loss and then back to love. So it's important for us all to understand that whichever version you choose, right, whether you are frozen or whether you are running, they are both avoidance tactics, okay? And we have created trillion-dollar industries to assist people who are in avoidance, right? And it's really important for us all to understand that it is an avoidance loop that we're in. which, so when we, wait on, what have I got going on here? Something's come up. I don't know what that is. Okay, let me just get rid of that off. Just give me 1 sec. It's interesting, isn't it? All these things that come up. So I don't need you. You can go. Thank you very much. Okay, so the avoidance loop, right, is the Groundhog Day days, where we literally go, whichever version we decide to use, it's where we go, this is too hard. I can't get out of bed. What's the point of living? No one gets me because no one will understand you. Very few people will. I'll never be successful. Nothing matters anymore. And that's where we go into avoidance, okay? So we have, remember, we have our unconscious mind loss loop that is doing all of this. And in order to shut that down, right, we go into the Groundhog Day days. And from the Groundhog Day days, we either freeze or we run, okay, which is our survival tactics. It goes back to our base survival, right? When we literally did have saber-toothed tigers in the world and we were in survival. So we would go into one or the other. And so we go into avoidance because it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I am stuck. I am avoiding. And when we're in avoidance, we create all of these tactics. So let me go full screen on this so it's easier for you to see. So what are these 8 different sort of tactics which we have, the whole world has created trillion-dollar industries over? So the first one is you know, alcohol, food, drugs. Second one is anger. The next one is exercise. Like we will over-exercise just to avoid having to face our loss. Or we can overwork. We can go into isolation. We can go into a next Netflix trilogy. Social media, let's face it, the world we live in is all designed to stop us from living and loving our lives. So we're in avoidance. We can go into sex or we can go into shopping. Let's face it, they even call shopping retail therapy, okay? So today I'd like to explore where you're at, where you feel you're at, what avoidance tactics have you used in your life? And let's face it, you know, if I bring that back up, I can literally go, yes, food, alcohols. I didn't do drugs. Anger, sure, we all go into anger. It depends on how long we stay in there. Exercise, I went into that. Work too much, I told you, that's what I did. That was my escapism. I knew how to do my job. And it was like, well, if I stay here, I'll be safe. I can do this. I can do it sort of on remote. I don't even really need to be there consciously 100%. I know what to do. Isolation, I didn't really do that. Netflix, a little bit. Yeah, sure. At night, I would come home and I would have, you know, a bottle of wine and just sit in front of the TV because that was numbing. Sex, not so much. Retail therapy, of course. We all use retail therapy as a way of making ourselves feel better. But let's deep dive into that. How long does it make you feel better for? 15 seconds? 15 minutes? 15 weeks? Days? Let's be honest. When we buy something, the excitement of it wears off very quickly. And before we know it, we're on to what's our next big thing, what's our next big purchase, sort of thing like that. So it's time for us to ask ourselves, what are we avoiding in life? You know, what is the pain? What is the suffering that we haven't deep dived into? What are the things that we can actually now start to really deep dive into and the losses in our lives? Because what I've found, you know, after I got my loss, which was 15 months after Dan's passing, which was me having to choose whether to stay with my company. I was a CFO of a publicly listed company, right? Completely different to what I'm doing now, let's face it. I used to be an accountant. Sure, I was, you know, the second in charge accountant, and I loved my job. I was really good at my job. But I was not only, even before Dan passed, I was avoiding life. I was really good at my job and everything else was put to the side. I probably spent about 95% of my time at my job, even before Dan passed. So I do feel that Dan was a bit of a wake-up call for me, but I didn't take the wake-up call. That's why 15 months later, I was given the next wake-up call, which was my company was merging with another, and I had to choose whether to go with the company, not as the CFO, doing everything I'm doing now plus more for 2/3 of my current salary, or to take redundancy. And I'm so grateful that even though I was in my Groundhog Day days, I was awake enough to realize that it wasn't going to work for me. It was going to eat me from the inside out if I had stayed with that company. Because, as I said, I was really good at my job. And whatever reasons they had decided to give it to the other guy over me, from the other company over me, I'm not really sure. All I know is he didn't last very long in the job. But that's beside the point. The point is that everything happened perfectly for me because I began to look for a better way to do loss. I was awake enough for me to go, there's something going on here. The fact that Dan passed and then 15 months later, this job loss sort of came about. What is it? And I was very spiritual, even though I was sort of not, an accountant. I still had a very spiritual side to me. And I started to tap into the fact that there was more going on in life. There was a new direction for me to look into. And that's when I left that company. I could have easily gone and got another job, being paid what I am worth. But I decided that no, and I knew it really quickly. I knew it within days of me choosing redundancy. I knew that there was a new path for me to take. And I had a conversation with a previous boss, not from that company, from another one who was a friend of mine. And I said to him, I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I just know that I'm on a new path. And that's when I really started what I like to call, which is the first step in every single loss in your vow, is the step to get onto the path of becoming your own best friend. Because, what I've found is life sort of chips away at you. You'll have little things done or said to you, and slowly you sort of lose a little bit of you. It could be something that you love to do. It could be something that you really, really love to do, but you're not all that good at it. Well, you think you're good at it, but other people sort of say, oh, you're not very good at that. So you stop doing it. But in reality, you are. It's just their opinion that you're not. And because we take on these beliefs and these things from other people, we really do start to lose ourselves. And that's what I've found in loss, is the fact it's sort of like it's resetting the clock for you to say, okay, this event has happened in your life, and life's not going to be the same anymore. But you get to choose what life is going to be moving forward. So you get to take all of the good parts of your life and you can remove all the parts that are not working for you. But you need to do the deep dive into you. You need to, first of all, do the deep dive into that relationship. And you need to feel those feelings and heal from those feelings and receive the gift from those feelings. Because the gift comes with you sort of realizing that there's a message for you, and it could be, well, this doesn't work for you, or you're here to learn this lesson, and you're here to understand that no one does anything to you. They do it for you. So let's unwrap what that gift of for you was actually thing. And look, I know that there are some horrific things that are done to people throughout the world. And I'm not condoning them. I'm just asking you to have a different perspective and just say, what was all that about? Like, who am I going to become because this event has happened to me? What can I learn from it? How can I grow? I could have very easily sat down and got really, really angry and peeved that, my son had passed away, that he literally had passed away at our back door. And we thought a healthy 27-year-old son had gone out the night before. So I could have really, really gone into that and gone down that road and stayed in that Groundhog Days for a long time. I've met many people who have been in that days for, anything up to 20 years, which is a long time. It's a long time to stop living and loving your life. And one thing I realized really, really quickly, even in that 15 months, or just after that 15 months, I had this great realization that you are the only person you are going to spend your entire life with. So why are you putting yourself last? And why are you giving up on your dreams? And why are you allowing your huge traumatic loss events to become the focus of your life and to stop you from living and loving your life? Like, they're really tough questions to answer. And I'm not downplaying in any way the relationship that you had with whoever you have lost, be it through death or divorce or separation or your job loss or your health or your wealth or any of the other 40 plus loss events that can affect all of our lives. But it's time for you to ask these questions, is in, how can I create my better everyday life moving forward? Like, what are the ingredients that I want to bring into this life? Like, how can I take this event and go, right, these are the things that I am now going to stop doing. These are the things that I'm going to start doing. And these are the things that I'm going to continue to do. Because when you have those three things, the stop, the start, and the continue, all in your little way of moving forward, that's how easily you can create your better everyday life. And what I've found is when people start to bring those ingredients into their lives, not only do they create a life where they live and love each and every day, they actually create a life where they are honoring whatever they have lost. Because let's be honest, whether you've lost someone through, just say through death or through divorce or separation or for whatever reasons, do you really feel that they want you to be suffering? Like, even if you've had the most horrific divorce, at the end of the day, don't you really feel that deep down they still want the best for you? They don't want you stuck. They don't want you suffering and not having a life where you're thriving. They loved you once. And when they dive deep into themselves and they find that little bit of love that is still there, they don't want you to be suffering. And if they've passed away and gone on to their next adventure, do you really think that they want you stuck? Like, we're all here for a reason, okay? And we're all here to achieve whatever we're going to achieve. And if we look at it from a spiritual perspective, we're all here to go through our lessons, to grow, and to become a more enlightened spiritual being. That's what we all are. And whether you believe that or not, it doesn't really matter. But the beautiful thing of it is that when you start to take on this perspective, and I'm not trying to brainwash you, I'm just going to ask you, having a perspective where as we travel through life, we're learning and we're growing so that when we move on to our next adventure, we're actually more enlightened. We're actually ready to be greeted by all of our past loved ones, which I just think is the most amazing thing. It sort of makes you not scared of dying because you think, oh, well, yeah, I'm leaving behind all of my friends and family here, but I'm going to be greeted by all of my friends and family who have gone before me. So it's just a reunion, okay? And I'm going to also do a life review of what I plan to do and what I actually did. We're going to figure out why I didn't achieve everything on my plan to do list. And a lot of the times, I'm pretty sure that people get to the plan to list, and the reason that they didn't achieve everything is because they got stuck. They got stuck in this Groundhog Day days. And it's so easy to get out of it. Well, it's not easy. All it requires is a deep dive into you. And it's a deep dive into what are my avoidance tactics? What are the things that I'm doing that are stopping me from creating this life that I live and love each and every day? So do you have any questions? Because I've been talking now for like half an hour, and I'd love for you to let me know where you feel you may be. Like, are you stuck in a Groundhog Day days? Either version of it where you're frozen. Lovely, Beth. Nice to see you on here today. Fate has a mind all of its own. Interesting, isn't it? Is it fate or is it our destiny? That is a really cool question, isn't it? Because, I believe that we're so destined to have these adventures and to have these experiences. Sure, we have free will and we get to choose whether we continue down one path or another. But when we get stuck in this Groundhog Day days, it really can be, it's an avoidance of our life. And we're not here to avoid life. We're here to live it. We're here to love it. And I'd love for everyone else to sort of, come in and just let us know, Marlene, losing your son, Matt, 5 years ago. Would you like to share where you're at now if you're still online? And thank you for commenting on Dan's passing. I appreciate that. I understand. So, and I won't wait for anyone to type. I'll continue on, because what I've found is that when we do that deep dive into us and we don't avoid our feelings, we actually, question what they're about. I've found that the first step, which is the first step that I took when I eventually left my corporate life, was to take that step back to me, to become my own best friend. Because let's face it, the way you treat your best friend is sometimes a lot better than the way that we treat ourselves, the way you talk to your best friend, the way you look after your best friend. You always have her best interests at heart. And that's why I feel that the first step after all of loss, which sometimes is sort of counterintuitive, is for us to look after ourselves, for us to look after our well-being. We are a being, and it's for us to be well throughout our whole line. Yes, Beth, thank you for your question. I have found that grief and healing has many, many layers. And I've also found it's like the onion or the lotus leaf, that the more that you peel it off, these layers, the more that you actually find the answers. You find who you are. And the layers the more that you do it, I find that when loss comes again the second time, there's not as many layers for you to have to unpeel or for you to deep dive into. Excuse me. And the reason being is that you've found the lessons, you've found the gift, so that when loss comes again, and it will, there's over 40 different loss events that affect all of our lives. So of course, loss is going to come again. It's just a part of life. As I said, it's like we're on this infinite journey where that we go from love to loss and then back to love. And let's face it, without it, life would be pretty boring. If life was just one continual line where everything is just lovely and joyous, and we have no, velocity, we have no intensity, everything is just one straight line. Let's think about it. If we compare that to our heartbeat, when our heartbeat goes up and down, we've all seen a heartbeat monitor where it goes up and down. And when it's straight across, well, we're dead. And maybe that's what life would be like if we didn't have the ups and downs. We'd have nothing to compare it to. We would feel like we were dead, and we'd all be bored. And if everything was always going swimmingly for us and beautifully, how would we all feel? Well, let's all look back to Adam and Eve. They had it. They lived in paradise. And what did they do? Eve, according to the fable or according to the story, she tempted Adam because she was bored. Let's have something that we're not allowed to have. What else can we do? And that's what life's about. It's about us deep diving into it and finding those layers and figuring out what is the best way forward for us. And thank you, Marlene. Fill my life with my daughters my daughters' 4 children. She works. I do lots. Your daughters' 4 children, and that's beautiful for you. I hope that you're doing something for yourself, Marlene, because it's our life. As I said, you're the only person you're going to spend your entire life with. And while it's great to be able to be there for our children and our grandchildren, which is absolutely amazing, believe me, I am a grandmother and I know just how amazing it is to have them in your life, it's still about you living your life and you looking after you. So I hope you're spending some time doing that. And if not, what I have found is that I've created this amazing Revitalize Your Life, because I found that people who get stuck in avoidance, they really they don't know where to go. They are busy, right? Or they're stuck, but they're busy doing things for everyone else except for themselves. And it's because they've lost that connection to themselves. And that's why I've created this amazing program called Revitalize Your Life, because it really is a pathway back to you. It's a pathway back to you being able to reconnect to you. Because, as I said, we lose ourselves so many times in our life's journey that we don't know how to get back to you. And because I have this amazing program, what I've done, let me just bring it up. I just noticed that's all coming in, but that's okay. What I've noticed, let me just put the link in so that you can, I know, I've got all these things happening all at once. So here's the link. And let me tell you about the Revitalize Your Life program. And beautiful Kerry, she's just about finished it, which is great. So it's a 45-day adventure where each day I load a new activity into your program. Thank you, Kerry, for saying it's a great course. I really do love it, I have to say. I had so much fun creating Revitalize Your Life that it is amazing. It took a lot longer than I expected, but that didn't matter because I enjoyed every single moment of it, every single activity. And there are 45 days of activities. And each day into your own little special area, I load a new activity in. And they take around 45 minutes at the most to do. And the beautiful thing about it is because I understand how lost, how stuck, how much into the Groundhog Day days so many people can get stuck. I really wanted to assist people to be able to revitalize their life easily. So I've made it $45, not $45 a day, it's $45 in total, which means for $1 a day, you get these amazing activities. And as I said, they take up to 45 minutes, some days are less, for you to actually do that deep dive into you, because it's about you looking at all these different things in your life, and it's the best way to bring all of those pieces of yourself back to you that you've sort of lost along your life's journey. But more importantly, it assists you to be able to create that life, which it gives you the clarity so that you can have more joy, more fulfillment, more love each and every day in your life. Because life can be, that journey back to that. And it's just about you finding that clarity. So that's what I love about the Revitalize your life, which is a 45-day activity. And it really is a pathway that leads you back to you, which is so cool, isn't it? Isn't that what we all want? We all want to be led back to you. That's what I always feel. I don't know about you, but that's certainly what I feel. I always want to be led back to you, to me. So yeah, so that's what I'm talking about today, is obviously the Groundhog Day days and how you can get not only out of the days, but create a life where you are just so, living and loving your life. So that's it. Oh, thank you, Beth. It does sound wonderful. I have to tell you, it's an amazing course. Things like you matter, or your time matters, your boundaries matter. Each day we deep dive into a completely different thing, so that it just highlights a different perspective, a different focus for each day, so that you can enhance your life. So many people don't set their boundaries, and then they wonder why people are overstepping them. So we deep dive into, why it's important to set your boundaries and how you can easily do it. We deep dive into 45 days of different things like that, all designed to bring the clarity and the joy and the fulfillment back into your life. Because let's face it, when we have clarity, when we know what to do, when we know where we're going and we know how to get there, and we know each and every step that will take us from where we are today to where we want to be, that's how we bring joy and fulfillment in our life, because we have purpose again. We have a reason to jump out of bed each and every day, excited about not only what today is about to bring, but also tomorrow and the next tomorrow and the next tomorrow, and for the rest of our lives. Because when we have that, we truly are living and loving our life. So that's what it is all about. So is there any other questions, or is there any more clarification that anyone requires in regards to the Groundhog Day days, the avoidance loop, the unconscious mind loop, all of these things that are continually going on inside of us? And because we're not so aware of them, we, are really using a lot of avoidance tactics, which are not ideal. Like, I know I did. As I said, I worked too much. I ate too much. I drank too much. All so that I didn't have to face the fact that my son had passed away. And as I also said, I was doing it long before Dan passed away. I was just, there's so many loss events in all of our lives that things happen and we just shove them down because we don't want to have to face them. We, as Marianne Williamson says, we're not so scared of who we are. We're scared of who we can become. We're scared of our light. And we dim our light so often that when you actually revitalize your life, you're ready to shine your light. And it's not from an ego perspective. It's from I'm here for a reason, and I'm here to share and to assist others. I'm here to be of service. And that's one thing that I really realized when I took that first step to reconnecting to me, to becoming my own best friend, that the more steps I took, the more I realized that I'm here to assist people to move beyond loss. When I was a CFO, I had this thing where I would always look at everything I was doing and I'd always say, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. There has to be a quicker way. I'm spending way too much time on this. There must be a better way. There must be a better way. And I took that constant way that my sort of outlook on life was into when I started that journey. There has to be a better way. Like, why is it that we have so much loss in our life, but we all get stuck in it? There has to be a better way. And we've been doing it for centuries and centuries and centuries. And, and you look at the Kubler-Ross 5 stages of grief, her research is so spot on, because that's what we've been doing for centuries and centuries and centuries. But we don't have to continue to do loss that way. There is a better way. There is an easier way. And that's how I created my 5-step process, which I call the gift of loss. But the first step is for you to stop. And the first step is for you to stop and reconnect to who you are, which is why the Revitalize Your Life program came all about. Because you cannot move beyond loss if you haven't reconnected to you. You're frozen. You're in that Groundhog Day days. Thanks, Sue. I'd love to have you part of the 45-day life. If you just go to this link here that I'm posting now, Revitalize Your Life, and as I said, it's $45, 45 days of activities, which will assist you to reconnect to you. Obviously, you need to do the action steps each day. Just by spending and investing in yourself, it will not assist you. You've got to invest the time and take those steps each day. And they're fun. I promise you, they're fun. As Kerry says, she's just about finished the course. And, and she says it's a great course. Kerry she came onto the course just by coming across me one Monday at 11 a.m. Queensland. And she's been here most weeks since. And I know that she's doing the work. I can see that she's deep diving in and she's doing the work. And it's the easiest way for you to come back to you. Because do you know what? You're important. You matter. Your life matters. What's happened to you matters. What's about to happen to you matters. Your future matters. Your journey matters. Sure, we're all individuals. We're all unique. We're all one of 7+ billion people on this amazing planet that we call Earth. But you still matter. You're very important. You're connected to everyone else. We're all connected, right? So your energy matters. And we even deep dive into your energy matters. Your understanding, your spirituality matters. Your health matters. The way you move matters. And of course, it's really important for everyone to know that when you matter, everyone else matters. And that's why I love sharing this, because it's so easy and fun. And isn't that what life's about? Having more meaning in our life, having more fun in our life, having more joy in our life, more fulfillment. And that's why I have purposely made it $1 a day. I could have made it $10 a day. And believe me, at $10 a day, it was still great value. But I purposely wanted everyone to take that first step to revitalize your life, because it's really, really important for you to be living and loving your life. That's it. Thank you, Beth. It's really nice of you to not only be on here today, but also to share that. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and to also to comment. Your impact on your life from your healing will be massive. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. So, everybody, have we got any more comments? Is there anything else that I can assist you with today? I know I've gone through a lot in the past 50 minutes, and I know I have these really cool, unusual terminologies, which obviously have just been guided to me from the other side. Most people who know me, Dan is the co-founder of the Chaston Centre. He is constantly giving me downloads, constantly giving me lots of stuff to do, keeping me very, very busy. But because I love what I do and I love the knowledge that I've gained, and I love gaining more knowledge as I go through my journey, that I realize that Dan is here in every way except the physical. And it's really important that when loss comes to visit you, that you understand that every component of every relationship, there are three aspects to it. And the first one is the physical, the way we hang out together, the things we do, the things we say. And then there's the emotional part of the relationship. And that's all encompassing of all of our feelings, the good, the bad, the glad, and the sad. And then there's the spiritual component. And that's that intangible part. Like, we know that we're connected to this person, place, or thing. We're just not really sure why, but we know that there is a spiritual connection to every single relationship. So when the loss event occurs, the only thing that we lose is the physical relationship, or the physical aspect of that relationship, because the emotional and the spiritual will live on forever. And it's the emotional part that causes us all of that pain and suffering. But when we do that deep dive into it, when we stop avoiding, when we stop and wake up from that Groundhog Day days, and we will all probably go into it for a little while. It could be for an hour. It could be for a day. It could be for a month, a week, a year, 20 years. It all depends on you. But you get to choose when you start to wake up from the day. And that's what this whole Revitalize Your Life is all about. It's just assisting you to look at things from a different perspective. It's a remembering, because we forget things along the way. We forget that we do know how to live and love our life. We do know how to be us. We do know that we're important. We just forget it sometimes. So, Sue, this is the first time I've seen you, and I look forward to getting out of the quicksand. Sue, I look forward to being your guide, and please reach out anytime. You will be, obviously, when you sign up, you're receiving daily emails from me. Well, hopefully it's daily emails from me. Every now and then I get little gremlins in my emailing system that decides not to send an email. But know, whether you receive that email or not, the next day's activity is definitely loaded into your own little special area. So you can just log in and get the next day's activity. So thank you, Sue. I'm so glad that you came across me. As we know, there are no coincidences in life. So obviously this was your guides, your higher self, guiding you to check me out. I'm here every Monday, 11 a.m. Queensland. 11 a.m. Queensland. But then when New South Wales changes time, I'll go to 12 p.m. Queensland. I know. Anyway, I really do look forward to you all being here again next week. And Sue, I look forward to you possibly joining the course of Revitalize Your Life, because believe me, that quicksand is not fun at all. It takes you down and down and down and down. And we don't want to be down. We want to be up, don't we? So everybody, thank you. I have enjoyed myself, as I always do. I entertain myself no matter what. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Kerry. Thank you, Marlene. Reach out, Marlene. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. I sort of understand what you're going through. Nicole, Nick, everyone else, Eva, and anyone else who didn't bother to comment. Thank you. I honor you. I celebrate you. And I wish the best for you, whether you decide to come on a journey with me or whether you decide to walk your own path. Know that you're important and you matter. Bye for now, and I'll see you all again next week.